We got some interesting stuff on here this week. I'm going to go ahead and start recording anyway, but yeah, although we haven't talked about the Rob Zombie photos yet. A lot of people are going nuts about that. And then, I don't know, just kind of BS a little bit. $50 million box office for Halloween Kills, which is pretty amazing, really, if you think about it. Where it's $5 on. Oh, we already got Anthony in here. What's up?
It probably would have hit 80 million if it wasn't available on streaming and there was no pandemic. Because the first
Yeah,
movie, the first movie, I'm one of those people where it's like the more I see it, the less I like it. But that first movie made $70 million in opening weekend, so you would think this one would make more.
hmm
So, to have it streaming even for $5, people still went out and saw it. So, I guess the Myers. It's just funny to see so many people like getting upset online about it because it's like, guys, it's Halloween 12. If you really think about it, calm down. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, that's. I think Uncle Bill. I was kind of shocked. Yeah, I mean, it's not the best. I'm not going to bullshit. It's not my favorite Halloween by any means, but yeah. I mean, after the Rob Zombie ones, which I actually think we are live on here. I forgot to make the thing unlisted. Well, hell, it don't matter. We're good. I'm good if you are.
Oh, I'm fine. I I know you guys aren't the greatest fans of the Rob Zombie films, but to me, Resurrection is the bottom of the barrel. That is the the absolute worst of the worst.
Yeah, I need to go back and watch Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 because I've only seen it once. Well, maybe twice. Maybe
You
twice.
saw the theatrical cut though.
I saw it. Well, we were sent the director's cut too.
Okay.
So, you
And you
know.
have it in that awesome Halloween box set that you got for free. So
Yeah, but well, they sent us the. I think I have two different versions of that actually.
okay.
But they sent us the. It's the same fucking discs though. I don't know. They must just do that with studios.
The theatrical cuts of the Rob Zombie films are only on Blu-ray in Canada, but you can get it in a 2-pack set for like $5 on
Yeah, I've
Amazon.
got the.
Yeah.
I'm weird that way when it comes to the Halloween series. I just kind of, if it's a version that I don't have, I'll buy it. So I've got it's the DVD version of the theatrical,
Okay.
which I'm fine. I'm probably fine
Yeah.
with that. I don't know
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
I'd rebuy it on Blu-ray. So,
No, that's fine.
but all right,
Yeah,
man,
I'm a
you
big
ready to
fan.
rock and roll?
Absolutely, I'm a big fan of the Halloween films. So yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. We'll do a little intro here, and then we will be. I'll just use everything from here on out.
From beautiful downtown Prestonsburg, Kentucky, it's the mWo podcast on Patreon. Hosted by one half of the ballers and shot callers of Horror Talk Radio, a man who's been creepy as fuck since 1980, it's the Creepy Kentuckian. Take it away, Bulls.
Howdy, folks. It's the Creepy Kentuckian here with you on the October 20th edition of the mWo podcast on Patreon. And good buddy of mine, Cameron from Obnoxious and Anonymous. What's going on, dude?
It's great to be back here with you. It's been a while, so I look forward to tackling all the awesome topics we got going on this week.
Cool. Good deal. And it is, we're knee deep in the Halloween season. Do you have any movies or anything, traditional type stuff you do every year around this time?
I'm so envious of these people on YouTube that do the 31 days of Halloween where they tackle a new movie every day. I have a 3-year-old at home. It's very hard to get even. I go on Shudder for like 5 seconds, and my wife is like, "Turn that off. The imagery is so disturbing on that channel." So I have to like sneak the horror films this year, and but I have films that everybody likes to watch. Obviously, the classics, but I sometimes like going back to sort of the not necessarily the disturbing horror films, but sort of the kind of relaxing comedic horror films like House from 1985 or April Fool's Day. Ones that don't get a lot of play, but are were instrumental in just making me like a big horror fan back in the day when I was a kid. I mean, that William Catt film House. If you've not seen it, I'm sure you have, but I'm saying if the viewers have not seen it, it's really enjoyable, and it's like a great kind of gateway horror film to like bring in like a 10-year-old in.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen that. I've actually got Arrow over in the UK did a box set of which there's a grand total of I think 4 House films in the UK.
Right.
Which they were. Yeah, 3 and 4 weren't House movies here in the U.S., I don't think. But
no, but that box set is great because one, it's all region 1. Even though it says region 2, you don't have to have an all region player to do it. And the horror show, which is House 3 overseas, the version that Arrow released is uncut, and the Scream Factory horror show disc is edited. So the only way to get that film fully uncut is to get the Arrow box set.
Yeah, I did buy the box set. I think it was sometime last year, and it's still sealed. I'm bad for that, and I've been trying to catch up on some stuff this year. But I'm getting some stuff to review, a lot of newer stuff that I kind of have to get out to review. So that's held me back a little bit. But yeah, I mean, you could probably find some stuff that your kid could watch with you. I mean, you got to be kind of selective, I guess, with that. But The Worst Witch comes to mind. That'd be a good one.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing Nightmare Before Christmas and things of that nature. Where he's kind of dipping his toe. He did the Muppet Haunted Mansion thing on Disney Plus the other day, and just kind of he loves the idea of Halloween, and but obviously a lot of the things are not quite appropriate. He's not ready for Nightmare on Elm Street just yet. So.
Yeah, well, he may not be ready for the Tim Curry dance number and all that in the middle of The Worst Witch either. That can be kind of traumatizing, I guess. I remember as a kid, though, I thought that was like the coolest thing. But looking back on it now,
Sure.
So we are actually all the way live on YouTube.
Okay.
And we're getting comments in here. Zombie Collector, Joe Bob Tarhill, Mark, Ice Bowie, Anthony. So yeah, it's one of those deals where I just forgot to unlist the link. So I apologize, but hey, we'll do it live. We're like Bill O'Reilly today. So one of the big things though this week that I definitely wanted to talk about, and a lot of people are just going completely ape shit about this. Rob Zombie, I think this was on Monday, posted, since Halloween is rapidly approaching, it's the perfect time to meet the monsters. Direct from the set in good old Hungary, Rob Zombie presents Herman, Lily, and the Count sitting in front of the newly completed 1313 Mockingbird Lane. So you're seeing the characters for the first time in makeup. It's all in black and white. Now I'm wondering, is this movie going to be completely shot in black and white? I hope so. I really do, because when you try to do the monsters in full color, I instantly think of those made-for-TV movies they did in the 90s. I honestly think that's what Herman looks. Hey, Herman Munster looks like the dude that did. Who was it? It was Edward Herman, I think, that played Herman Munster in the 90s movies. So I don't really have a huge problem with it, but a lot of people are just going crazy about it. They were still somehow shocked that Sherry Moon is starring in the movie. I don't know why, because she's been in every Rob Zombie movie that he's ever made, I think.
I think people were more surprised that she was Lily, and they thought that she would play Marilyn, the daughter, with her hair.
Yeah, she's 50. She's in her 50s, so
yeah, I didn't have a problem with it. I was more surprised that they're filming this in Hungary, considering that the house is like still standing on the back lot in Hollywood. So that was surprising. The other thing is, after Halloween 2 did not do very well theatrically, he did 31, which was, I believe, a Kickstarter. And then, of course, he did 3 from Hell, which got postponed. If it had been earlier, Sid Haig, of course, would have had the third lead. So his films have been getting progressively more and more low budget. So for him to get this, which is going to be a huge thing on Paramount Plus, to be able to shoot in Hungary and yet still have the cast he wants to work with, I'm really curious to see this first trailer, because remember back in the day when we heard Tim Burton was going to do Dark Shadows, and I know you just did a video about the documentary about one of the actors in Dark Shadows, and we all thought, wow, Tim Burton in Dark Shadows, this is going to be like Sleepy Hollow, it's going to be epic and vicious. And then we saw the trailer and it was like, what is this? Like campy and ridiculous. I'm curious, is this going to be Rob Zombie's take on the Munsters, or is this going to be him sort of doing what Eli Roth when he tipped his toe in and did The House with the Clock in its Walls? He's going to do a family-friendly thing, which I would believe that's what Paramount Plus wants. We know Rob Zombie's a big fan because there's a Blu-ray for Munsters Go Home, and he did a commentary for that movie. I have not heard it yet, but I mean, the fact that Rob Zombie's doing a commentary on a Munsters movie, I mean, he's obviously a big fan. And of course, then when they did that, I believe it was you that mentioned the MTV Cribs episode with Rob Zombie, and he's got Munster stuff all over his house. So I don't think he's going to go in here trying to, F this up.
I don't either, actually. And I don't usually have much faith in Rob Zombie, but I think that he's going to give it his all. He's going to pay respect to the original show. I'm almost positive that he hates all of the, they had the Munsters TV show reboot in the 80s, the made-for-TV movies in the 90s. So it looks like, I mean, just by what I can tell in that photo, that he is trying his best to make it as accurate to the original Munster show as possible. I'm not a gigantic fan of the show. I mean, I've watched it. I'm not an expert on the Munsters, but obviously he is. I mean, he's at least a big fan. And I think that he said a couple of times that the original Munsters movie from the 60s was one of his favorite films of all time. So it could suck. Who knows? I mean, I don't know, but I think if I was a betting man, which I'm not because I'm too cheap, I won't gamble. But if this doesn't rejuvenate Rob Zombie's directing career, there's nothing that will. I don't think there's another project that will, that can be that sort of hit. I think this has the possibility of making a ton of money for Paramount if they're going to do. I don't know if they're going to do a theatrical run for this as well. We'll wait and see. He's bringing in a lot of familiar faces from, some of his other movies. Jeff Phillips, Dan Roebuck, both of those guys have been in numerous Rob Zombie movies. Sherry has pretty much only done Rob Zombie movies.
Except for that Tobe Hooper film, Toolbox Murders. She's in the very beginning of that.
Yeah, she's like got a cameo in that. But, I just didn't go completely bonkers over the photo like a lot of people, because I kind of expected Sherry to be Lily Munster.
Sure.
I mean, that was just...
And I'm actually more of an Addams Family person, so I really didn't have a lot of investment in this. But real quick, if I'm a betting man, I think Rob Zombie is going to put in a laugh track into this thing. He's that kind of guy.
He could. So, it is going to be just one movie, right?
I believe so, unless they're going to do sort of a 10-episode limited thing.
Because
maybe
anymore, it seems like a lot of these streaming services do, it's their thing because they want the content there to do the series, It may be a little bit easier on Rob to do it, but you know, I don't know. Either way, I'm interested in seeing how this all comes together. He's never really done anything that's kind of like a, you know, comedy or sitcom type stuff. So we'll just have to see on it. But I gotta say, I was not, you know, it didn't piss me off like a lot of things.
No, and I mean, this is a guy that secretly snuck in a animated film back in the late 2000s too, and you know, people completely have forgotten about the haunted world of El Super Bisto.
Yeah, I mean, that barely came out. It was just on DVD, right? So
Yeah, but I remember online they were really hyping it up. It's like, oh, he's going to do his next animated film, and then it pretty much went straight to DVD. But still, I mean, he's got a directorial credit on an animated feature.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's the latest on Meet the Munsters, or whatever they're going to call it, just the Munsters, I guess. So that was kind of the biggest thing, I guess, this week.
Monsters F off. That's going to be the title.
That would be great if it was just that. Like, it was completely the opposite of everything, like we were saying. It's like an R-rated. You see Lily Munster in, like, you know, topless or whatever. And
I gotta just say, for an actress named Sherry Moon Zombie, we don't get to see that much of her tail in the movies. He doesn't showcase it that much.
Well, I mean, she's kind of getting up there a little bit in age too at this point.
But even like from The Devil's Rejects, I mean, just kind of.
No, I mean, I think it's kind of his thing to make it more of a tease, you know, because he's like, hey, this is what I get, boss. So, other big thing that I wanted to mention on here, we had talked to Don May numerous times, and he finally put up The Kindred on Synapse Films website for pre-order. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to let everybody know that this thing is selling like crazy. So it's limited to 3,500. If anybody's interested out there and has not grabbed it, I was told that it's going to sell out. I mean, it's not if it's going to sell out, but it will. It'll be sold out.
But then if you wait a couple of years, there'll be the Kindred 4K when it comes out.
Well, that's true. They could do the Kindred in a different kind of like Diamond Pod edition or something like that.
Because I just picked up the Demons 4K set that they put out, the 1 and 2, and
yeah, me too.
I mean,
I need to watch that.
I mean, for $50 you get both with all the extras, and you know it was so hard to find the original Blu-rays for less than 50 each with those extras. So right now is a good time to get that 4K set.
Yeah, for sure. And then, you know, a lot of extras and stuff on the Kindred. A lot of hype for Michael Felcher's documentary. It's a 52-minute documentary, Inhuman Experiments, The Making of the Kindred. You've got some creature effects artist reels and on-set footage with Michael McCracken. He's crack-a-lackin'. Still gallery storyboards, theatrical trailer, audio commentaries. It comes with the original soundtrack as well. That's one of the discs too. So the artwork on this is pretty badass as well. And they've been hyping that up, man, for at least 7 or 8 years.
Well, what does it tell you though, CK? Where like you're listing all these really great features in the CD and all this great artwork. You know, when DVDs first came out, this was almost every release that Anchor Babe would put out or something like that, you know. And now it's like, check it out, we got extras. Because
yeah. A lot of people you don't really talk about that anymore too, because some of the early Anchor Bay releases from like probably 99 to 2002, 2003, it had like an isolated soundtrack on it.
Yes, Suspiria and Opera both came with CDs of the score.
Well, also, not even that, but like some of the other ones that were just one disc, instead of the commentary, you could listen to the isolated score. So that's something that they don't do at all anymore. I mean, they just completely stopped doing that.
Yeah.
So, and there was a way, I believe, that you could rip an MP3 out of that isolated track too, if I'm not mistaken. I think I used to do that. But Satan Payne is he's wanting us to mention him on here, I think. He wants to know where Uncle Bill is, and he talked about somebody sent him a box of cow shit. Over and over again. I don't know what the deal is with that. Uncle Bill he's at the Great Wolf Lodge in Ohio. So he's on a little mini vacation right now. He claims that it's for his kids, but I think he wants to go and play at the Great Wolf Lodge.
You're encouraging everyone to call the front desk and request Uncle Bill's room.
Where's Uncle Bill at? So yeah, that's Uncle Bill Satan Payne. But yeah, Mike Barrett says I keep all of my Anchor Bays with the disc soundtracks. I don't think I've gotten rid of any of my Anchor Bay DVDs since the early 2000s.
What's funny is that the disc they put out for Opera, I believe the 2-disc version, the DVD played, but if you got the 1 disc, the DVDs never played. Like I went through like 6 or 7 of them. I would go to the bookstore and buy it. They never played. That one was like a faulty disc.
Yeah, they had some issues with the I take that back. I remember I sold, it was the Phenomena disc. About halfway through the movie, it started freezing up, and that was just an issue that disc had or something. So I sold that one. And I think that you mentioned Opera. That's another one that they ended up doing a replacement disc for that. I do remember that. I don't know if they ever did for Phenomena, though, because I think it only affected a few players.
Well, that's okay, because I got this awesome Synapse, Blu-ray that has 3 different cuts of it. So
it even has the Creepers cut. That's cut all to hell.
Yeah.
So another big thing that we wanted to mention on here, and this is because I talked about this probably a year ago. Maybe not a year ago, but a little while ago. Halloween Kills. It did kill at the box office for sure, even though they had it up on Peacock for $5.
And a pandemic.
Yeah, through the pandemic, and people are kind of still, they're up in arms about going out in public, don't want to go. I know a lot of people that don't want to go in restaurants or anything like that right now, so let alone movie theater where you're sitting for 2.5 hours.
With everybody screaming with no mask on. Right.
But $50 million box office this past weekend. And man, I haven't really kept up with box office numbers lately, but that's gotta be a huge number for anything right now. I mean, I don't know what the rest of the films this year did, but I guarantee you that, if Ghostbusters beats it next month, it's going to be just by a little bit. I don't think they're going to make like $100 million or something like that. I don't see it.
It beat James Gunn's The Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
It would have been $80 million because the 2018 version made $70 million opening weekend. This would have made more if there was no pandemic and no streaming option. It would have made more. Now, what's interesting is that there's been so much divisiveness about this one online that I'm not quite sure what the third one would make opening weekend. Because people are like saying this is really great or this is terrible. So I don't know. Maybe you would think with those numbers that people would be really wanting to see the third film, but I think the third film might be a slow one.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we'll see. They're filming the third one in January. That's when the filming begins for Halloween Ends. So, and a lot of people don't really know because it's supposedly 4 years later.
Right. And they've already announced that the Blu-ray for Halloween Kills is going to be not much longer, but an extended version of Halloween Kills.
Okay. Yeah, there were aspects of the movie that I did like. I didn't flat out, hate it like Uncle Bill. But yeah, I mean, I prefer the 18 movie quite a bit more than Kills, but I am very happy that it did as well as it did at the box office. That just goes to show you, man, when it comes to these horror movies, they overthink when they should release these things. I know that Friday the 13th, hopefully due to that legal thing being over with, Victor Miller or whatever won that they'll realize September, October is the time to release this shit.
Remember when the Halloween films used to come out in August? It was like, whose brainchild was that?
For the longest time, I think it started with like Halloween H2O. Mm-hmm. If I'm not mistaken, all of them up until Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 was in the summer.
Right.
I think. And then, they finally, somebody there woke up and was like, well, it's called Halloween. Maybe we should come out with it in October.
Yeah. What an idea. What a concept.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like the Saw movies did that for years and years and made tons of money. Not because those movies weren't very good. I mean, the first couple were okay, but people were just, you're in the mood to watch that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. And they made a killing every year until Paranormal Activity came out and knocked Saw to the ground. And they went, I guess we're going to do one more.
They just do it all over again, right? Right. I actually watched Paranormal Activity again recently. Second Sight sent me a preview disc. They're doing like a big limited edition box of that movie. And I still appreciate the movie for what it is, but for some reason I liked it way more back when it first came out. I don't know what the deal is. It's still good.
You probably didn't know what it was. So it's like, what is this? And it wasn't a big, long series at that point,
Right, yeah, and they kind of run it into the ground like everything else.
Like a lot of horror movies that has a subtext, and that's the subtext of Paranormal Activity is, be careful who you move in with because you don't know, what their past is. So.
Yeah, for sure. So, Ice Bowie wants to know if we're doing a Dead Pit on the Road for Afterlife, or is that not horror enough? I mean, that's entirely up to Uncle Bill. If he wants to do it, I would do it. But I don't expect that movie to be worth a damn, to be honest with you. I mean, I may be wrong on it, but just from what I've seen, it doesn't look very good to me.
You guys have to shoot another opening thing, because for the longest time you had that one where you would open the front door and Uncle Bill would pick you up. So you need a newer opening for the 2020.
Yeah, I thought about just using the old opening and
but that was before you lost your weight, so I don't think.
Yeah, and I actually had a full head of hair then too, so I don't know. But yeah, man, I don't have anything. Did you have anything you wanted to mention on here? Or?
There's not actually a lot of news happening that I see. It's just every time I go on Twitter, it's just all about Halloween.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of burnt out on Halloween right now. So at least the movie series, I'm going to maybe watch some Hellraiser and some Return of the Living Dead Part 2 coming up next.
Did you guys talk about that yet? About the new Hellraiser movie that Pinhead is going to be played by a woman?
I saw something on that. I didn't really look into it very much.
A lot of people were freaking out about it again, saying it's it's PC Hollywood culture. It's like, have you ever read Clive Barker? The guy writes about transgender all the time, and Pinhead, even in the original book, the Hellbound Heart, was known to be gender fluid. So he's a demon. He doesn't have to look like the same person every time.
I mean, honestly, though, Pinhead, you could, if they're going to do the same look, it doesn't really matter if it's a man or a woman. I mean, I don't think. But the Hellraiser series, man, I don't know how they would. I don't know how they would resurrect that at all. I mean, they have made so many. We were talking about that the other day in chat. Me and Uncle Bill and Garrett were just texting back and forth. And Garrett was like, rank the Hellraiser movies, because everybody ranks everything online. Right. And I'm like, to be honest with you, I think after part 3, I remember Inferno being okay. Mm-hmm. But everything else, I can't remember anything at all. And then the one that I watched last year, Judgment. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's like a double dose of melatonin, man. I cannot believe that was my last movie that we watched on Halloween night last year. And I was like, damn.
Well, you and Uncle Bill's review of part 10, I think it's called Revelations, is hilarious. Because, I mean, that was a movie where they in order to keep the rights, they had to quickly make one, and they made one in 3 weeks. They shot it like in like 3 days and edited it, and then like premiered it like at one screen like 11 days after they even shot it. It was like really fast.
That
and
guy
now
was,
it goes for
he stayed up and
that Blu-ray's $45 on Amazon right now. It's like I remember when it was $5 in the Walmart bin. Yeah, it was $5 in the Walmart.
I've still got it over there. I should probably sell it. It's awful. I'm never going to watch it again.
It's terrible, but you know, I did one weekend. I said to myself, you know, I've only seen three of the Hellraiser films, the first 3, and I was like, you know what? I know they're bad. And I just spent like a few days and I watched them all through, and you know, there were a couple like 7 Deader, which is one of the harder ones to find. It's the one I didn't mind the most, you know. So the video game one is ridiculous. The one with Superman in it, Henry Cavill, Hellworld.
Hellworld, Hellseeker was one, I think. Mm-hmm. They did a bunch with Miramax or Dimension or one of those back in the day. About with a span of 2 or 3 years.
Well, what happened was Dimension had a bunch of scripts that they weren't going to make, and then they said, "Hey, you know what? If we can get Doug Bradley for like a day, we can release this as a Hellraiser movie." So that's what they started doing. All these movies are from 4 on or 5 on. They're not even Hellraiser movies. They're just scripts that they just threw Pinhead in there for a day. So, I mean, my dream, of course, would be for them to do the Clive Barker book, Scarlet Gospels, because that's where Pinhead fights Demore from The Lord of Illusions. And let's bring Doug Bradley and Scott Bakula back for a made-for-streaming thing or something like that. That'd be cool.
Have you seen the Doug Bradley cameos? Did you watch any of those when we did well, there was one that was a watch-along.
For what?
That we did. On the horror cameos, I don't know if you saw that on.
Okay.
You know what Cameo is?
Yeah. Now, okay. Yeah. Now I do. Yeah, I had to be reminded about it.
So Doug Bradley's is like the funniest one. Well, maybe not the fun. Andrew Bernarski's the funniest one, but Doug Bradley is just sitting like I'm imagining he still lives in England, and it was like, "Oh, hello, Angela. This is Doug Bradley here." Pinhead from the Hellraiser series. And he starts picking up, he's got these figurines from Hellraiser and showing them. He's like, this one right here, someone painted for me. And it's just the weirdest thing. And he did have a cube from Hellraiser 3, which I thought was pretty cool. It'd be awesome to have one of those. I
did get a chance to talk to him a few times because when I would see him at convention and stuff. And one time I asked him, I said, how come your voice changes? I mean, in 1 and 2, Pinhead has this like general sound, and then by the time you get to 3 and 4, it's just like, "Give me the box, girl," you know. It's just like, and they said that when it went from New World Pictures to Miramax, that they didn't copy over the whatever the settings
for
the voice. Yeah. So when they went to do the sound work, they didn't even bother. They just left Doug Bradley's voice as it was when it was supposed to be pitched and modulated to sound like Pinhead. And that's why he's never sounded like Pinhead since part 2.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. Because like when he comes out in Hellraiser 2 and he's like, you know, it is not hands that call us, it is desire. It's so powerful when he comes out like that.
Yeah, but I'll be interested in seeing what they come up with for the next Hellraiser movie. I mean, our expectations aren't going to be very high. I mean, that's kind of like the new Chucky TV show, which I didn't have very high expectations for it, and I kind of enjoyed it. I didn't think it was too bad. But I haven't seen, there's a Day of the Dead one as well, which I have not watched, but I've got it recorded.
I had a friend that said they turned it off within 30 seconds, so I don't know. But what's interesting is after David Gordon Green finishes this next Halloween movie, he's going off to do an Exorcist trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
And do we really need another 3 films in the Exorcist series? I don't know.
Yeah, and for some reason, like Ellen Burstyn is cast in it at 91, 92 years old, whatever she is.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of a risky thing, you know, to cast, unless they've already got her stuff done. I don't know what she's doing in it, but
she never has agreed to come back for all the other films, so, you know. I mean, he got Carpenter to come back to do the score for Halloween. Is he going to get William Friedkin to come back and, say William Friedkin presents, The Exorcist new trilogy? I don't know. He's going to have to try and do something.
I almost think that, The Exorcist is like starting over, because how long has it been? It's like, what they did those, who was it? Paul Schrader and Rennie Harlan. That was like almost 20 years ago. I'm thinking it was.
But then they did
2000s.
They did 2 seasons of the TV series too with Gina Davis.
Yeah, see, I don't even remember that.
It's all right.
At all.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, a lot of stuff now is the TV shows. I think there was a Slumber Party Massacre remake that came out on Sci-Fi last weekend too. I've got it recorded too. Mm-hmm. So if anybody, let me know if that one's worth watching. You said Day of the Dead. Day of the Dead's more than likely a Doodleson's production, right? The same group that did, Day of the Dead, Contagion, and Creepshow 3 and all that, if I was guessing.
I don't know. I mean, Day of the Dead at this point is a title that has been, overused a lot. So.
Well, man, I appreciate you joining me on here. Tell everybody about your YouTube page too, and have them subscribe over there.
I have obviously a YouTube channel called Obnoxious and Anonymous. We talk about movies, obviously, David Lynch, Twin Peaks. I'm finishing up a film that I'm making that takes place in the Twin Peaks world. When that is done, which should be in the next month or so, I'm going to go full on deep dive into a lot of the movies and TV shows that I've had to put on the back burner to finish this thing up. So I'm looking forward to kind of, in a way, rebooting the channel, and talking about other things, so that the YouTube analytics don't get used to me talking about just one thing in particular. It'd be like if you and Uncle Bill started talking about romantic comedies, that would never see the light of day, because YouTube would be like, oh, they're a horror channel, and suppress it. So I'm trying to break out of that.
Yeah, I understand. I mean, it can be, if you're lumped into the corner, you just have to cover one thing. It kind of gets boring,
Absolutely.
So, but man, I appreciate you joining me on here, and everybody that's checking this out live, which you weren't really supposed to, but we do these shows on Patreon every week. So if you are a member on Patreon, you can check these shows out in mainly audio form. But
it's a good thing you noticed, though, we were live, because we were going to talk a lot of smack on here. So
yeah, but we held off a little bit.
Yeah,
I was talking about how great Rob Zombie's Monsters it could be. Maybe not, but All right, man. I appreciate you joining me on here, and everybody checking us out live. And we will catch you guys later.